relations. So we are talking about those relations. Then introduction to Prolog. Prolog is the example of logic programming language. Then data structures in Prolog. Last lecture we have seen list, one of the major data structure in Prolog, and programming techniques. Controls in Prolog, to cut, rules, pads, these are controls in Prolog, and we talked about cuts. Logic programming comes under declarative paradigm. Declarative paradigm focuses on what is the problem, not on how the problem is being solved. And there are many declarative languages, including functional programming language, that is Lisp or Scheme, logic programming language, for example, Prolog, and database programming language, for example, SQL. Here, real X. That means X can be a real or not real. Real is floating point number. So answer is true or false. So the statements which are resulting to true or false are called prepositions or predicates. So preposition means X is a real number. If it is a real number, it will be true, otherwise false. X greater than 0. This is again a relationship, greater than X comma 0. So it will result into true or false. So we have to convert real life problems into prepositions and write our code. You'll see another declarative language other than Prolog as SQL, structured query language. It's a database DBMS language. Select star from country where continent is Asia. So if you have a table of continent and countries, and if you want all the countries from Asia continent, you can write such query. And it will search the database and return you the table with only the column which has country name, continent name Asia, all the countries from Asia. We talked about preposition, fact, rule, predicate, and compound terms. So what are the facts? The way of stating relationship between objects. So how to state that relationship, like real X or greater than X comma 0. So the way we put this relationship is called predicate. For example, fish, salmon. So salmon is a fish. Or likes cat, tuna. Cat likes tuna. This is a way we are stating relationship. So it is called fact. And fact is always true. When we write a fact, we assume that this is true. Yes, salmon is a fish. Yes, cat likes tuna. It's true. Predicate is relationship. So that relationship, likes, fish, greater than, real. So relationship is called predicate. Fish, likes, or father of, mother of. So that is predicate or relation. Compound terms, if you are using two facts or terms together, like likes cat X and X must be a fish. There is an and in between. So like cat X is one fact and fish X is another fact, and you want compound term. So it can be and or not or XOR or implies. So when you combine two terms together, it becomes a compound term. What are the atoms? Name of individuals are known as atoms. It can be X, Y, or in this case, cat, salmon, tuna. So variables or constants that we pass to the fact. It's called atom. And what are the rules? Rules are implications that are stated during consult operation. So rules is like a function. You know something and you want to prove something. So that you can write with the help of rule. For example, eats. We are defining a relationship eats with like and fish. Cat can eat X, provided that or implies when can you say that cat can eat X? Cat should like that X and X should be a fish. So if these two conditions true, then you can say that cat ate X. This is how we can state rules. Then this was the example we have carried forward throughout this unit. So we have three facts: age A to B, age A to C, and age C to D. So these are the facts. And this is the rule, path X comma X. So X value, if you put here A, then here it should be A. So one variable take only one value in one statement. So there is a path from A to A, B to B, C to C, and D to D. That is our terminating condition. We are following recursive mode. we want to find out, is there a path between one vertex to other vertex. So for that, this is the rule, path x to y. We are saying that it implies if there is a path from x to y, there should be edge from x to some intermediate node, and from that intermediate node, there should be path from the terminal or destination. So for example, A to D, is there a path from A to D? There should be a path from A to some node, and from that node, there should be path from D. So this is how we have written our rule, and path is called twice. So this is a recursive mode. And to end this, we have provided this rule. So where to stop? If these two values are same, we can stop. So now in this example, what are the atoms, facts and rules? A, B, C, D. These are atoms. Facts are first three. Age A, B, B, A, C, C, D. These are facts. What are the rules? Last two. We have written these rules. And X, Y, N, these are variables. Capital X, Y, N, these are variables. Now clausal form. Clause means how we can write a rule. What are the clauses, or what are the type of statements in Prolog? Those are called clause. Problem is there are too many ways to express preposition. Instead of likes cat X, we can say that cat eats X, or X is eaten by cat. So there are many ways if you talk in natural language, and this can be an ambiguous way. And what we want, machine should understand unambiguously what program want to do. So difficult for a machine to parse and understand what exactly that relationship means. So there are clausal forms, standard forms for expressing prepositions, like we have seen path x, y. So this is consequent left hand side of clause, and this is right hand side, antecedent, and this indicates implies. For example, path x, y is left hand side. So it is like an assignment statement or function call. Right hand side will execute first, and then condition is passed to the left hand side. So here, how to read this rule? If there is an edge from x to n and there is a path from n to y, then there is a path from x to y. To put this, we have written path x, y implies edge x to n and path n to y. This is called headed horn clause. In Prolog, this is written as a preposition or rule. Instead of implies or this syntax, we use colon and dash. Now another important part of Prolog is query or goal. So query is input preposition that we want Prolog to prove or disprove. We have a data set, database in the form of facts and rules, and we want to extract some information from our data set. And for that, we use queries as our tool. So query or goal. When we write query or goal, and the output can be true or false, or it can be the value of a variable. Query may or may not require the Prolog gives us value that satisfies the query. It is not always compulsory that it will return a result or value. It will just say true or false. Method for retrieving information from a Prolog program. If you have a data set of mobile numbers and name, and you want a mobile number of particular friend, so that is a query. For example, age A, B. In our example, there is an age from A to B, so it will return true or S. Path C, D, no. There is no path from C to B. Path C to X. Is there a path from C to X? So for X, it will return two terms. C to C, because it matches with fourth statement, path X, X. So value for X is small c. And there is a path from C to D. And again, if you press next, it will return no. So various logical operations we can perform on preposition other than ANDing. That can be negation, negative, or just if it is true, assume it as false. Or it is called disjunction. Or is true if it is false if and only if any one of these false. Otherwise, it will be true. And is called conjunction. P and Q. It is true only if P and Q is true. And implication P or Q, not P or Q. Then this is very important term, unification. We use this term in any programming language, but we didn't know that it is called unification. Unification is pattern matching. So when how a program is executed in Prolog, it will match your query with the available facts as it is. And if there are some unknown variables, it try to match that unknown variable with the available facts. For example, when we say age here, path C to X. So path C to X first, it will convert it to age C to N. And how many ages are from C to N? There is only one age from C to D. So it is just matching the query with the available fact. So that is called pattern matching. For example, here, these are three rules: age A to B, age A to C, age C to D. These are facts. This is a rule and this is also a rule. Again, we are going with our program and we have to check, is there a path from A to D? This is our query. So first what we'll do, instantiate. Note down these keywords, because instantiate means like parameter passing. X is considered as A in this rule and Y is considered as D. As it is path A to D, A and D are different. If A comma A, it will match with this rule. Now this will match with fifth rule, A comma D. So X, value of X is A, value of Y is B. It is called instantiation. And unify, this term, unify path A comma D with rule 5. Now we'll put, wherever there is a, we'll put A, X is replaced by A and Y is replaced by D. And we'll try to match, is there a age from A to some node and is there a path from that node to D. So this process is called unification. After doing this, Prolog should satisfy age A to N and path N to D. So this is called sub-goal. Our goal is, we want to prove, is there a path from A to D? But path A to D has two sub-goals, age A to N and path N to D. So for age A to N, it will get two values for N, that is B and C. And we'll put B into path and again C into path and find out where you are getting true value. And that for, if you are getting true for any one of the path, then it will return true. Otherwise, it will be false. So in plain English, compare two atoms and see, is there a substitution which make them same. We have to make left hand side and right hand side same. So by any substitution, like you solve mathematical problems, if you substitute, make left hand side equal to right hand side. So what is that substitution which will make these two terms same? That is called unification. So how we can unify 6 and 5? This is a query and this is your path rule. So can you check what are the values for Z here? So for X you will put A, for Y you will put Z, and you try to find out what are paths starting from A. So there is a path from A to A. There is a path from A to B, A to C and A to D. So for Z, you will get values like A, B, C, D, all four values. Then resolution. Resolution is inference rule that allows preposition to be combined. On right hand side, how we can combine prepositions to write a rule. So that is called resolution. So idea is to match consequent, that is left hand side, of one preposition with antecedent, that is right hand side of another. So like again, when we solve mathematical problem, we have formula on left hand side, right hand side, and we have variable that we want to find out. For example, you have to find out simple interest. So simple interest is equal to NPR divided by number of years multiplied by 100, and you just put those values and try to get the answer. But if the value of left hand side is known, you know what is simple interest and you have to find out number of years or rate of interest. So how you will do? You will make left hand side the unknown term on left hand side and all known terms on right hand side. You modify that formula, right? While solving mathematical equations. Similarly, we have to match left hand side with right hand side of the rule. So if you have one preposition, if you have one rule, P1 of x belongs to or implies P2 of x, and you have another rule, Q1 of x implies Q2 of x. So you can combine these two prepositions like if P2 of y, x is replaced by any atom y, is equal to, this is not assignment, it is equivalence. If it is equivalent to Q1 of y, if these two terms are same, you can say that these two terms are also same for that particular y. It is not for any other value, only for that particular y. Here x is common, so whenever you take any atom, that should be common. So it is called resolution. So this is the example of resolution. If you want to find out what is the value of z here, so try to match z with all possible facts and rules, and you'll get all possible values. Z can be A, B, C, D. A should also come as an answer here. Now, how to handle failures? Sometimes that particular path may not lead to your true answer. Or, for example, we want to find out, is there a path from A to D? And we replace H, A to B. And we are trying to find out, is there a path from B to D? There is no path. B is the dead end. So we have to go back and choose another term, that is small c. But what about that B? The Prolog can work backward towards the fact using resolution, instantiation, and unification. Instantiation means replace the values of variable. Unification is match the query with the rules and fact, and resolution is combine various predicates or prepositions to create rules. As it works, Prolog must try each several choices, and these choices can be stored as a tree. For example, path A to D, this is your goal. Unify path A to D with rule number 5. You put x is equal to A, y is equal to D. Your first sub goal is A to N. For N, you are getting two values, B and C. There is a H from A to B, there is H from A to C. Suppose you take N is equal to B. Replace this by B. So we have to check, is there a path from B to D? But there is no path from B to D. So it will result into false. Can't instantiate B to N using any preposition. So this is a failure. So what Prolog will do in this case, it is not known to the programmer. It will go back, that is, it is called backtracking. Take another, is there any other value for N? Yes, there is another value C. It will take C and again do the same process, find out is there a H from C to any other node and that node to D, and it will reach to the goal. If for all possible combinations you are not getting true answer, then that query will be false. Otherwise, if in any one of the options you are getting answer true, that query will be true. So when solution process fails, Prolog should must undo the some of the decision it has made. This is called backtracking. Backtracking we use in recursion. So it marks a branch of trees as failed. So there are two types of search or execution strategies that can be used by declarative languages. It is forward chaining and backward chaining. So when a query is matched with the fact, it is start from first fact. So that is forward chaining. You start from first fact to the end of your code. Otherwise, when the first substitution is failed, take another value and start it again. So from last statement again go back to the first statement and try to match it. So this is called backtracking. So what are the meaning of this term? What is forward chaining, backward chaining? Which strategies are used in Prolog? Prolog uses both. For the simple queries, it uses forward chaining. If it is composite query, mixed of two subgoals or three subgoals, it has to use backtracking. Which strategy is more effective than other? So if there are two cases, large number of rules and small number of facts. So if there is a rule, you need to use backtracking because rules is the combination of multiple facts. Rules means there are sub goals. So if first goal is true, to check whether second goal is true or false, you have to go back and do it again. So if there are multiple rules are more than facts, you have to use backtracking. If the number of rules are small, you can use forward chaining. We have seen this example: father of A, B, 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 C, C, male, female, and we have defined a rule grandfather of and these queries. And we have also defined different relations like sister of, sibling of, ancestor of with these rules. Try to build those relations. Now about the cut. The process of query evaluation often requires considerable backtracking that we have seen. To save time, cuts was introduced. Cut is this explanatory mark we can use in query as well as in rule, which indicates that if backtracking must be applied, the pattern will fail. It limits the search space for solution. For example, if you are checking grandfather of AACC and female CC, it will return true. And if you want grandfather of AACC and you didn't want, it should check female CC, because female CC doesn't make any difference. Grandfather of, I know that AA is grandfather of CC. Either CC is male or female. It should return true. The answer is true here. It should not be no. It should be true. So cut has no effect in forward direction. It has only effect in backward direction. You can cut that rule. Don't check this particular rule, or in case of query you can cut the particular query. Then we started with Prolog, programming paradigm language or logic programming paradigm language. So it is based on database. There are two kinds of information: rules and facts. So your program is with the combination of rules, facts and rules. A command to read and load database. So you can load your program on a terminal if you have Prolog compiler installed with the term consult and filename.pl. Extension for Prolog programs is PL. And then you can write a query or goal and you'll get the answer. We have seen this example ancestors.pl. Ancestor XY means parent XY. This is our terminating condition. Note that we have written rules first and then facts. So fact is father Bill Jill. Bill is father of Jill. Jill is mother of Sam. Jill is mother of Sally. So these are facts. And we have written rules like parent of. So X is parent of Y when X is father of Y. X is parent of Y when X is mother of Y. So either father or mother can be a parent. And if X is parent of Y, X becomes ancestor of Y. And we have written this ancestor rule, ancestor X to Y. It is like path. We have to find out who is ancestor of X to Y. So X should be ancestor of Z and Z should be ancestor of Y. So we called ancestor twice. So there is double recursion here. And this is a terminating condition. We have to stop when you can find a father X comma Y. So to load this program, type this program in Notepad or any other editor, save it as ancestor.pl, go to the terminal, this is a Prolog terminal, and write a command consult path name and ancestor.pl. Then you can see again the terminal and you can just type ancestor Bill Sam, give the queries and you'll get the answer. Yes or no. Or if you check ancestor Bill X, Bill is ancestor of whom? So it will written values for X, Jill and Sam. And if you press next, it will give you an error out of local stack. So as recursion uses stack, intermediate stack to store intermediate results or of uploaded functions. So it is very difficult to write a program having lots of recursion. So we have to take care of using this memory very effectively. For that purpose, cuts are used. So how Prolog finds a solution? It uses depth first search. which causes immediate recursion. So, for example, if you have two terms here, ancestor xz, ancestor zy, note that it is calling this ancestor function again. This is also calling ancestor function again. So you are opening two recursion or two stacks for recursion, but it will go with first ancestor x comma z till end, till it will find some x is father of or parent of someone. It will reach to that end, then it will come back and start with this. It is not like it is parallelly executing these two functions. Assume that these are two function calls, same function is called twice. So first it will complete first part, that is ancestor x comma z. It will find out all the values for z. X is ancestor of whom till the end, depth first. And then it will put those values of z into the second call, ancestor, and continue. So it will go by depth first. It is not breadth first. It will not do these things parallelly. Then we have seen the example of factorial. We have to find out where Prolog is lagging, how Prolog is different from other programming language. So we have written a simple code. This is a terminating condition. Always for recursion, we should write a terminating condition. Factorial of 0 is 1. This is our terminating condition. And we know that factorial of n is n into m, provided that factorial of n minus 1 is n. So we want n into n minus 1 into n till you get 0. But if you type this code in Prolog editor, you are getting out of global stack error. You are not able to proceed. Even for 1, if I want to find out what is factorial of 1, this is not working. If you solve it on paper, as per the syntax, this rule is correct. Whatever we have written is correct. But Prolog is not able to do this because Prolog will not understand that it has to call factorial with new term n minus 1. Suppose I have given factorial of 3. So factorial of 3, then it should call factorial of 2. N minus 1, 3 minus 1. So n minus 1, that is n value of n is 3 minus 1. It should call it again with 2. So n should replace by n minus 1. Prolog has the problem, it cannot replace these terms directly, cannot do the mathematical operations directly. So for if you pass anything, it will give you an error global out of global stack. So arithmetic is not performed automatically in Prolog. We have checked with these terms, 2 into 3 equal to 6. It is saying no. It is not able to perform 2 into 3 and match it with 6. If you pass 2 into 3, 2 into 3, it can say yes, because it does pattern matching. But if you use is a relationship. 6 is 2 into 3, yes, it will say yes. 2 into 3 is 6, again it will say no. Because left hand side it want only one value, right hand side you can pass any equation with operators. So there is a problem with L value and R value. So what we have to do? That assignment statement means comparison of identity. So factorial n 1, that means n is equal to 0. When factorial of n is 1, when value of n is 0. So that will be our first rule. So instead of writing factorial 0 is 1, we can say that we pass here n, factorial of n is 1, provided that value of n is 0. This is our stop case or terminating condition. And is performs instantiation if the left side does not have a value 8. So here we can write, this is another example, product. We can write z is x into y. So product x comma y and z, we can get value of z as product of x into y. So now Prolog can understand this. So if you give product 3, 4 and n, it will return n is equal to 12, because it can replace x as 3, y as 4, 3 into 4, 12, and that is value of z. So it will return that value of n is 12. But if you pass 3, y and 12, it will not understand that it has to calculate y as z divided by x. So this will fail. So mathematical operations are not performed as we think in Prolog. So n is n minus 1 will always fail. Again, it will not understand that it has to replace n minus 1 with n. So how to fix this problem? So in factorial example, instead of n is n minus 1, we can add one more variable n1 to make our rule more unambiguous. So instead of n is n minus 1, we write n1 is n minus 1. And that n1 we pass to the factorial. And here we introduced one more term m. So factorial of n1 is m, and what is p? P is m into n. So we have changed this rule from factorial of n into m. Instead of n minus 1 m, n minus 1 we have kept outside this factorial or recursion. We have written n1 is n minus 1, comma, that is and factorial of n1 is m. And what is p? P is n into m. So for n into m again, in mathematical operation, instead of writing in a function, we just added here p. And what is p? P is m into n. And now this will work for any value of n. It will not go out of this stack for even n is equal to 5. And this is how you can read this program. Instead of is, you can use not, make rules mutually exclusive. If it is 0, then the answer is 1. If it is other than 0, then it should pass this query, right? So you can just provide not n equal to 0. If n is not equal to 0, then do this. So like if else. Now instead of writing everything on a single line, to increase readability, there is no rule in Prolog that indentation like Python you should write here only, or opening or closing brackets like C, C++, Java. So just to improve readability, you can write one clause per line. So instead of writing this way, it is more readable. N should not be 0, n is n minus, n1 is n minus 1, factorial is n1 to m, and p is m into n. Just to look better and improve readability of your code. Now we have seen this example of graph again. Here we increase number of edges A to B, B to C, B to D, D to E, and D to F. So all these are the facts and these are the rules. And we are checking whether these queries are satisfied or not. The problem we faced is, now this is not the directed graph, this is unidirected graph. So if you say there is an edge from A to B, there should be edge from B to A. This is not a directed graph like in our first example. There was an edge from A to B, an arrow from A to B, A to C, A and C to D. Now here we didn't have any arrow. So we want, if there is a path from A to D, there should be a path from D to A. And we have to write a program to satisfy this. So is there an edge from A to B? Yes. Is there a path from A to A? Yes. It is matching with this rule. Is there a path from A to E? A to E? Yes. There is a path. Is there a path from E to A? It is saying no. So how can we change this code so that this query path E to A should return me true or yes? So we tried to write one more rule here. Edge x to y means if there is the edge from x to y and x is not equal to y, x and y are two different vertices, we can say that there is an edge from y to x. If there is an edge from A to B, there should be edge from B to A. And without changing any other rule, again when we check, is there a path from B to E? It is saying no. So it will not understand whether to add this H B to D or D to B. It will get confused with these H's. So what we can do is we can add more facts. Add H A to B. Similarly, you can add H B to A. And then it will work. When you issue a query in Prolog, what are the possible responses from Prolog? It can be either true, false, or values of those variables. So likes. So if you have a database where this rule is there, likes, jobs have 219, 212. These are the subject codes and these are the students. You can say yes. If this is not available, you can say no. And if you pass any variable, it will return the value of variable. But these values, the answers are depending upon the data set that we have provided, the available data set, and that data set needs to be updated eventually. So for example, here we are getting value for who is Patrin, but there are many students newly added who may like TOC, theory of computing. So that should get updated. Otherwise, your answer will stick to that particular data set or your program. So that means closed world assumption. That is your closed world. You do some assumptions, you have written a code, and your program will work only on that data set. It will, if the data set is not getting updated, you will not get the real world values. It is a closed world assumptions. Then we have seen list processing in Prolog. List is made up of head, node, and tail. Head is first element of the list, and tail is list without first element. We have seen this yesterday. If you write such type of syntax, it will written A for head and B, C, D, E for tail. Note that instead of H and T, you can use any other variable. You can write X and Y. But when you use vertical bar to separate X, vertical bar and Y, X is head and Y is tail. So we can write, we can use head and tail to find out is there a path from unidirector up. Then we have seen member predicate. Member predicate checks whether this is a member of the particular list or not. If it is a member, it will return true, otherwise it will return false. If you pass a variable instead of an element, it will return all possible values for that variable. Then we have seen append function. Append function concatenates two lists together. Yesterday we have written our own append function. Then we talked about type determination. So it is weakly typed language, dynamically typed language. Depending upon the value that you pass, value of variable will be decided. To check the type, there are predicates like var, integer, real, number, atomic, which will return type of that particular variable. Now we have seen trace command to check intermediate steps, how program execute. We have seen these two examples yesterday, and max function, finding maximum of a list. Now let me explain you what is Tower of Hanoi. I decided to explain you Tower of Hanoi today. We started with revision. So your problem is, I'll show you. So we have three towers. And we can pass number of disks. The number of disks are not fixed. For example, here capital N, from and T. So we call it as source tower, and this is our destination. We have to move disk from source to destination using this auxiliary tower or temporary tower. And we have suppose I'm taking example of 3 disks. This is disk 1, 2, and 3. Note that smaller disk should be on larger disk. There should not be a larger disk over a smaller disk in any of the move. And you have to pass this disk as it is to destination, source to destination. You can use this one. So, what will be your first step? Move. I'll write move one. That is first disk from source to destination. Source to destination. So I have moved this one from source to destination. Now what is my second step? Move two from source to auxiliary. Source to auxiliary. So second step, I am moving two from source to auxiliary. Notice my third step. I can move one from D to A. Move one from D to A. Now what is the next step? Move three from source to destination. Note that every time we are moving top of the top most disk from one to another. So here we have, and this is. So now what can we do? What is the next step? One to source. We cannot do 1 to 3. Move one from auxiliary to source. And 2 to 3. Move 2 from auxiliary to B. And move one from source to B. So this is 6th step and this is 7th step. If number of disks are 4, if we have 4 disks, 4, 3, 2 and 1, how many steps will we do? Again we have only 3 blocks, 1 auxiliary and 1 destination. We have to move 4 disks from source to destination. Why do we have to use like 1 to 3 and 4 order? We can put it to India from here to this. But we didn't want smaller, larger disk from smaller disk. Yeah, what my term. So, like 1 on A, 2 on A, 3 on A, and 4 on A. So, if you write 1 and existing 2, so this is not allowed. You cannot put a larger disk to a smaller disk. This is the condition in Java. What you can do is you can put here 4 and उसके ऊपर 3 2 आ सकता है. But you cannot write 3 2 on 1 or 3 4 on 1. That is the condition. So how will you solve this? One here, 2 here, 1 on 2. This is 1 on 2, 3. Here 3. Solid. I'll explain you this code. This is working code. So in this case, we are using 3 times recursion. This is our stop case or terminating case. Move 1, from, and 2. And this is unknown variable. So when we get a single disk, we can move it from 1 to whatever, the tower which one is free. So move top disk from whatever the from is to whatever the 2 is. This is a print statement. It will display that. And NL is new line. It is like /n. And this is our main program. Move n from, to, and other. So if n is greater than 0, like 2, 3, 4, 5, anything, here we have written n is n minus 1 because we cannot directly write n is n minus 1. So we have added one more variable, n is n minus 1. And for n, that is n minus 1, from and other, and 2. So we are using auxiliary variable. From means that particular node, source to other, we are using auxiliary. And then if it is 1, then from 2, you can directly shift to the destination. And if it is n, then other to from. So if I run this code, move, and do it for 3 moves. So instead of n is number of disks. So I have 3 disks. I want to move from X to Y and my auxiliary or source destination. Here you can give source to destination using auxiliary dot. If I run this, you can see these steps. So how many steps are there? 7 steps. 3 and 4. And 6608 is your source. This is your destination. And 512, 528, these are auxiliary nodes. So move disk from source to destination, source to intermediate node, intermediate destination to intermediate node, like this. You can check it for 4 disks. You have to figure out how this program works. Just note that if it is using depth first search, it will first complete this move, then it will start with this, and then it will start with this. So how many steps are there? And match your steps with this. And you can check it for 5 or 6 disks. Is it possible to solve Toro for 5 or 6 disks with one auxiliary node? Yeah, you can put 1 on 3. You cannot put, yes? You solved it for 4? Just compare your answer with this one.